All right, this is it. So, last reader, Cory Wilson is, of course, a first-year MFA student in fiction. He recently won the Isabel McAfee Horn Scholarship for Best Novel in Progress, and tonight he'll be reading a short story for us. Ladies and gentlemen, Cory Wilson.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for staying. I know it's warm in here, and you've heard a lot of good poetry and fiction. You might be a little fiction or poetryed out. But I want to thank Marcus for setting this up. It was a good job, and Kevin for doing the sound. This is a short piece of fiction that started out as nonfiction for Suzanne Greenberg. And unlike the poetry students, we do all the edits that our teachers suggest. Suzanne's here in the back. I hope she hears that. But it's sort of a meditation on what I feel like consumes me a little bit, which is this shift that we've experienced in the last 5 years economically with the 1% and the 99% and how that sort of relates to maybe everyday people that we know, So anyways, it's called Consolation. When he makes phone calls, he flicks his tongue at the receiver like a snake. He just flicks it back and forth and tells the client what's wrong with them. Their situation, he calls it. He never says the word mortgage. He never says anything, really, other than meet you at 3 and be prepared for a productive meeting. I never meet anyone at 3. My appointments, if they come, are at 7 when my family is finishing their dinner. I don't live with my family. We do a 50-50 thing now, our son sharing 2 homes. It didn't used to be like this. In 2003, I had been offered the position of account manager, which means telemarketer, for a large mortgage corporation. It was just before the divorce, but right after the recording contract ended. You know that song, The Day the Music Died? The one that goes, bye-bye, Miss American Pie? I hate that song. So I started flicking my tongue, too. It helped with the rejection. 150 phone calls a day, 30-something contacts, and 20-something hang-ups. Of the 10 people I would speak with, 9 would say things like, fuck you, telemarketer. You don't have anything better to do? Die, you scum-sucking leech. My boss's last name is Leech. He's the tongue flicker, the one with the 3 p.m. appointments. He drives the car and has the wife and child at home. When I see them in the picture frame that sits on his desk, they seem to be waiting for him. He's the one who got me the job. I have known him since we were kids. His sales production allows my rent to be paid, my master's degree to be earned. Dude makes 30 grand a month. 30 grand for giving people shit on the phone. He says anyone willing to take the abuse can do the same. He's right. One deal can equal 10 grand, sometimes more. The company we work for uses the word America in its title. I suspect at some point that had to do with the yellow pages and the letter A being the alpha in the bet. But now it just seems to signify something else. Hello, sir? Yes. This is Noah from America Mortgage. How you doing? America Mortgage? Are you kidding? I wish I were. Once a month, the account managers and the real managers have a numbers meeting. It's where the shit goes down. You know that saying, the board doesn't lie? It's true. I've worked for the company 10 plus years now, but have not made my quotas on a regular basis since I decided to go back to school. That was 3 years ago. Before the meeting, Leach pulled me aside. Dude, we gotta talk. We went out to the courtyard and sat on a concrete bench. There were 2 planters and an ashtray filled with cigarette butts. He lit 2 cigarettes, one for me, one for him. Everything around us was marbled and gray. The black glass building we worked in shielded us from the sun. There was a brisk breeze. You're not getting appointments, he said. You sound like a big pussy now. It's like ever since you went back to school, the numbers just get worse. Look, man, I know I'm in a rut. I'll pull out of it. I always do. And school doesn't have anything to do with it. It was a lie. School is heady and people don't buy heady. They buy confidence. They buy emotion. Some even do it for the challenge. They want to know they got the best deal, that they could grind a person down to the penny, then brag about it to their neighbor. Financial firms breed testosterone factories for this reason. It's competition. It's been months, bro. I can't keep carrying you, lending you money, letting you poach all my clients. And school has everything to do with it. You use these big words, but clients don't give a fuck. You sound like a boring professor and make people want to hang up. No one wants to feel stupid or educated by some sales guy on the phone. People want to feel good about themselves. That's when they buy. You know this, remember? Rule number 1, feel, don't think. People don't want to feel good, I said. If they did, they wouldn't borrow money. I knew how pious it sounded, how weak I had become. Dude, whatever. Make a fucking sale then. I feel like I'm enabling you and it's gotta stop. How long till you're a teacher anyways? Or professor or whatever? I ask myself this question every day. How much longer? What am I doing this education thing for? 40 grand and no benefits? An adjunct? I tell myself I'm doing it for my 7-year-old. He has 2 musicians for parents, and that's not his fault. He needs someone to be stable, someone to be around to go to his games and his recitals and his whatever. At one point, I had been making as much money as Leach, but it took everything I had. The music, the marriage, me. 12 to 14-hour days were the norm. And when I would get home, there was nothing left inside. Nothing resembling love, that's for sure. They say money changes you, but it's not true. What changes you is what it takes to get it. The money only intensifies what you were prior to. I was or am a thinker, a daydreamer. I think my way into dreams, then I go after them until I dislike what I thought my way into. I find a reason to move on. My ex-wife calls it being a malcontent. She's probably right. But then again, she married me. We were in the band together, 2 lead singers sharing the same stage. And the record deal we shared, the one we worked so hard for, lasted about 3 months. 3 whole months to live the dream until we or I found the flaws within the contract. Pious people shouldn't look at recording contracts. They're filled with realities. You get to see how far down the food chain you really are and how much you'll have to give just to get. When the deal went south, so did the marriage. There was no longer a song to be sung. Arguments began to mean less. She thought it was the money and the mortgage business, but she was wrong. It was the music. It killed us both. Anything worthwhile always does. And money did things to her too. As a kid, she always had it. To her, it was natural. There was no need to make up for lost time. To me, it was like the lotto. I once read an article in the New York Times that said people who win the lottery feel they deserved it. They think they willed it into being. The article said that 95% of these people were bankrupt within 7 years. I can relate. It was exactly how I felt when I started to make money, real money, for the first time. It seemed as if life were offering a consolation prize to the loss of music. It was nice, and then it was empty. When Leach and I walked back into the building, he put his hand on my shoulder. He gave me a slight shove as if to say, "It's gonna be all right, man." The meeting room was fluorescent and beige. 13 chairs circled a large, lacquered table. There were donuts and coffee. 2 young men in dark suits stood around a dry erase board. They were serious, closers from corporate. 12 of us were in the room, 5 managers, 5 account managers, and the 2 men. We all sat down. I want to begin by drawing an illustration, one of the young men said. He turned to the whiteboard, and with his left hand, he picked up a black pen. There was an oversized college ring on his wedding finger. He began to draw an elephant. Does anyone not know what this is? He asked. No one answered. Good. And what color is this elephant? I looked to Leach, but he kept his eyes down on his tablet. He pretended to make notes. It's a white elephant, I said. He looked at me coldly. And do you know what they do to elephants nowadays? I learned this in graduate school. They poach them. Sell their tusks to make soap and shit. Fucking ornaments. Those dinky things you get at some kid's Chuck E. Cheese party. The consolation prize. Can you believe that shit? It's a shame. But people don't give a fuck. He looked at me again. You know what I mean? That's it.
Okay, that's the end of the reading. Thank you, everybody, for coming down. We greatly appreciate it. We know there's a lot of readers, but thank you for I hope you enjoyed. We enjoyed the show. Again, thank you to Gatsby Books for hosting us. Buy a book, buy 2, buy 10. Thank you again.